So, welcome to episode 6 of the Can You Geek podcast. My name is Steve, and this is Aaron.
Hello.
So, not even going to say what our topic is today. Let's just catch up. So, how you been?
Honestly, it has been a stressful day. Today was 2 of my finals, my econ final, which I think I aced, and my astronomy final, which I did the opposite of that. Aside from that, man, just chilling. The wife is preggers, so if you're a listener, I now am making a baby. We finally kind of announced that out. We're excited. We went to our first doctor's appointment. We've been trying for a while. We're really, really stoked. Honestly, I am just super, super excited about having a little me to ruin the world with.
I'll be honest, I'm probably more excited than you are. Just because I know how much you've wanted one forever.
Yeah.
So I am super excited for you.
It's been one hell of a ride, man. We've kept it under wraps, and we're excited. We get to do our ultrasound coming up. By the time this releases, we'll have done it already. So by then, I'll know what the little baby looks like, and then soon after that, we'll get the sex revealed, which is really, really cool. So more to come on that as we record. I'm excited to share the evolution process of making a little hellion to raise, to destroy, and rule the world, as my hopes would be. I already told Jess if it's a girl and looks like her, she's going to be the only parent. However, if it's a boy, she's still probably going to be the only parent because I'm already childish. So we'll see what happens.
If you ask Michelle, honestly, she's got 4 children. She considers me a child, so.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that makes sense. I think all of us, usually are in the relationship. We end up being the ones who need to be taken care of. It's kind of funny.
Exactly.
There's always one, right? There's one responsible partner, and there's always one that's needing the help, if you will. There's never really ever two dominant forces there that are both adulting at once.
But you will find after enough years that you'll go through phases where one of you has to be the responsible one.
I think Jess is fucked there, man. I think that we're in a position where she's just going to always have to be that person, and I'm sad for her. But that's just being honest. I'm very excited.
I'm very excited for you. That's why I'm giving this, a little bit extra time to talk about, because it's big news.
It is big news. It's super fun, and I'm glad to be done with this. This semester in school went by really fast. U of L has been really fun, having a good time. Honestly, just excited for what life has in the future, and what with a lot of announcements and stuff going on in the geek world, and as well as in my real life, if you will. There's just a lot of cool stuff happening, and life's just really neat that way. And now I get to raise my own little geek. Jess has become geekier since we've been together, so at the very least, our child would be a Star Wars fan, guaranteed.
It's a good start,
and a Marvel fan. So we'll at least have those 2 things for sure.
Yeah.
So Disney will rule our lives, and Disney. I mean, honestly, Jess and I have been collecting Disney movies for some time now, so we're stoked. What about you, man? What's been going on? What's new?
Just hanging with the boy. It's just me and Liam doing our guy thing since no girls are in town. They get back on May 8th, which will probably the week after this comes out. So by then, most of my stress will be over.
Yeah, get your family back.
Yeah, I'm super excited waiting for them to get back. So,
hell yeah, as you should be. That's cool that they got to go see family over there, and
yeah, they're dying in the heat.
I know that.
It's
yeah, I can imagine. Oh my god,
they're going through a heat wave over there, which is crazy. The other day, I noticed it was 30 degrees at 7 o'clock in the morning. So 30 degrees Celsius is shit. Without Googling, 85 Fahrenheit?
Yeah, there's a conversion there that I used to know how to do. I don't know how to do it anymore, which is shameful because I just learned it twice in my life, once recently in college and the other time when I was in high school.
Well, really, we just need to get you Americans off of the freedom measurements.
The standard stuff is kind of silly. I wish we would go to metric. I think that, if that would be better. I mean, when I did when I worked in the biopharm biotech industry, everything's metric. Like it just makes more sense that way. I don't know why we use stupid shit. Maybe it's like an American pride thing. America. I don't fucking know, man. I'd prefer to just go metric because it makes more sense. It's easier. Everything's 10 system. And I don't know. Well, we'll figure it out.
It'll
One day
happen
we'll
eventually.
advance there. Yeah, maybe. Hopefully, if we're not so ass backwards all the time, maybe we'll advance a little bit. Who knows?
So, well, on that note, so today's topic, everybody. I know you just listened to us talk for 5 minutes about absolutely nothing. Now you get to listen to us for another who knows amount of time talking about absolutely nothing again.
That's why they're here.
Exactly.
To listen to us talk about absolutely nothing.
So today's topic, what we're going to talk about is how guys' nights have evolved, basically, in the geek world, and how online gaming can replace a poker night or an in-person board gaming night, and our thoughts on those changes, or whether we think that's appropriate or not.
Yeah, and I guess I'll clarify with that. Just, I know that we say guys' night because naturally Steve and I were just guys that talk guys' night, but any gamers, and honestly, that'll be kind of part of the evolution. No. I don't think it's offensive. Whoa, no.
No, I know, but just in case there is somebody out there that does think I was being offensive, that was not my intention. It's just historic words that, still get used.
Well, but even so, just when we talk, we're talking about our guys' night, right? Because our close-knit group, aside from maybe one friend that we've gamed with every now and then, we do like party games and stuff with. I used to play HOTS with her, our friend Osika or Aaron. Most of the people that I play with are all guys, right? Like on a regular basis. So for us in general, our normal group that we're playing Warframe right now, and I've put off that game for so long. I didn't like it the first time I ever played it.
I'm right there with you. I did not like it either. So
and now what? We have like 7 people that we've started a little clan with, and we're rocking it. We're hooked.
Yeah,
we're
and I have
fun.
2 other real life friends that might be joining us.
Oh hell yeah! Are you fucking? That's all, dude. I'm so stoked. It's growing, man. And I'm having fun with it.
I'm having fun.
I'm bummed you didn't get that Prime Frost skin because I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know how I got it. I really don't, man. But we're killing it. But yeah, just with the really, Steve and I were trying to discuss, and we have crazy lives. We have things that come up, and Steve was like, "What topic do we need?" And I was like, "Oh shit, we haven't gone over a topic." And one thing that I've always, I think that's important, and if you listen to like our episode 3, where we kind of dive into geek culture and where it's at, I think that this is another evolution of what we're seeing as a result of where geek culture has grown and technology has advanced. And I think it's important that we discuss it. So when I brought it up to Steve, I just thought that maybe we could roll out the punches on what we thought of your guys' night, but really just your hangout night. So you're keeping in touch with friends, your social interactions that have advanced past the stage of you have to get together to play poker, or you have to get together to play board games, or not that those things aren't great. Like I love going out with friends if I ever get to. I'm about to go to a wedding. A buddy of mine, JP's getting married, and I'm so stoked to see all my Navy friends and people I used to hang out with all the time and work with all the time. Good, close friends of mine that I stay in touch with, with fantasy football, and stay in touch with Marvel Strike Force and other such like interactions and things. And I think that it's important. So that's why I brought it up. That's why the topic's there. So
nice. Yep. And totally agree with it. I mean, when you brought it up, I instantly was like, yes, this is a great topic, because it's something. So my wife and I have been together now. Oh, it's been 16 years. I want to say 16 years. It's been a long time. I know for some people that doesn't sound like a long time, but it's a long time.
That is a long time for being married. Like
we haven't been married for 16 years. We're 12, I think, 12 or 13. But
yeah, but that's double the amount of time Jess and I have been together completely. Like since we started dating, that's double the time that we've been together.
Yeah, and
triple if you're counting the entire time you've just been dating. That's incredible.
She still wants me to go out and have, for lack of a better term, a guys' night. She wants me to go out and hang out with friends. So as soon as you said this, it totally clicked, because part of all my jobs and training and everything I've done over the years, I've done personality tests, which I know it sounds like I'm going off topic here, people, but trust me, it'll come back. People that know me know that I'm, like, when we're together, I talk a lot. I'm friendly. Seem like I'm very outgoing. But in all reality, I'm actually very, very, very introverted. And so in being so introverted, the going out and doing things, like going to a bar and having drinks with people, I enjoy. I do. I really, really enjoy. But I find I lose more energy. Like, it's just mentally draining. It's really hard for me to do. And so for me to recharge, because at work I deal with a lot of people all the time. I do tech support. So when I come home, I have my family time. I decompress. I don't touch any technology, or as little as possible. We watch TV together after dinner. And then I'll come upstairs, and as we're getting ready for bed, I decompress by getting online and gaming with friends and talking to them. And to me, it's the same thing as my mom's ex-boyfriend used to every day after work go to the bar and have a beer and interact with people. And that was his way to recharge at the end of the day and decompress. Mine is online gaming and interacting with the friends I've made for years, playing games together. So the topic was really, really on point for just in general my life, which was great. And so for me, it's how I prefer to actually interact with people. Like, don't get me wrong, when you were within a 2-hour drive, I absolutely loved coming down to your place, hanging out, playing games with you and Ty, and, you know, that was great, because it's small group, totally fine. As soon as we're getting over like 10, then it starts to just drain all my energy.
Which is, and I have to say, I mean, and that kind of, it's a nice segue into my point, which is you and I met online. So
Yep.
I used to stream under the alias of Thatcher Van Telecus on Twitch TV, and I started trying to do gaming, and then I found Twitch Creative back in its infancy, and I met some really, really cool friends, some great people, and one of those was Steve. And it's funny because I got in touch with Asika, or Aaron, our friend Aaron, and she and Steve turned out they lived right down the street from each other.
It was a 4-minute walk.
Yeah, and we all met through Twitch. And I lived in Oregon at the time, and we blossomed a friendship. We all got to bullshit. And we became friends. And then when I moved to Washington to be close to Jess, I was invited up. Like, hey, you want to come up? And I went and saw Aaron, and then eventually I went and visited Steve, and we've developed this really just an amazing friendship, and now we're here doing something that we love, where we get to bullshit each week, and our podcast is a perfect example. I know it's not gaming, but it's the same thing. We are spending time together, and we get a chance to. And as a person, I did almost a decade in the Navy, and my wife did about 8.5 years in the Navy. And when you think about that, all the different places we've lived, all the friends we've picked up along the way, they've, either stayed in the Navy, got stationed other places, we get separated. The life you live, for instance, when I was a kid, you'd have your friends over and you played Nintendo together.
Yep.
Right, but if you wanted to play 2 players, man, on the NES, you had to hook up another controller, and they're there next to you, right? So you played a lot with your siblings, and you played a lot with the kids down the street and stuff. We grew up in an age where the internet came to be, where we evolved to that point where like Xbox Live hadn't happened yet, so we had to take like 2 Xboxes, hook them to a couple TVs, and play Halo together, right? Where you had 4-on-4, and so it's still that get together mentality of like your little game night or whatever. Well, the internet grew, and we found that, and I get it, people have these social anxiety issues. They don't want to be in large groups, but they've found homes in streaming and in gaming. And I know there's horror stories, but there's horror stories in real life of things that have happened. So the evolution of geek culture and the evolution of technology together has allowed for me and Steve to stay in touch where it doesn't have to be us writing letters or a phone call. We just get to get on once a week and bullshit about geek culture, things we love. And then on top of that, we get to get on and play Warframe or LOL or HOTS or something. And we get to play those games together. And you pick all these friends up, and I've got different things that I keep in touch. Like our fantasy football group is a group of friends that I've had for over a decade or more. And we've had people enter and we've had people exit, but we always we look forward to our draft day when we all get to draft together and bullshit and everybody kind of drinks or, whatever. And we catch up and we have a good time talking on Discord, and we're all over the country, man. We're across everywhere. And you're in Canada right now, man. I'm on the East Coast now. We're nowhere near each other.
Canada, so it's like light years
away.
away.
Man. Yeah, I guess I should be more obvious with that. I keep talking like Canada doesn't have an East and West Coast, but I'm just so just in reference, I've never been to the East Coast of Canada. So I've only ever been up to Canada on Steve's side. So I associate that.
That's okay.
Plus I said I
cool
lived
side.
in Washington. Yeah, there you go, right? So the cool
entire
side.
Rest of Canada.
Look, man, I've seen a hockey game in America and I've seen a hockey game in Canada. A hockey game in Canada was super fun. That was a lot of cool interactions, a lot of cool people. They were geeking out on hockey hard. I was geeking out on hockey hard. And I don't really watch hockey, but you're in it. It's a festive occasion. It was a lot of fun, but
so
yeah,
just on the sports though, before we transition, next time you come up, if it is hockey season, the Vancouver Giants, which are juniors, they play in the ECHL, I think it is, or the West Coast Hockey League.
Yeah.
They now are based 5 minutes from my current house.
Damn,
so
dude, that's legit.
A crazy get 16 to 18-year-olds playing their hearts out. Max 6 people in the stadium. It is intense and dirt cheap and a lot of fun. And so next time you come, we'll go hit up a game if it's hockey season.
And we're gonna go eat at that taco place. That place is so good.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
But
tacos
so I guess my first point is communication. It allows you to stay in touch.
Yep.
Which is the purpose of a poker night or a game night or whatever it is you do. Go to the bar and have a couple beers with your friends. We can't physically just get in touch because none of us are rich. We just can't get on planes and visit each other. As much as we'd love to do that every second that we could to come hang out, we can't. So communication's that first piece. It's just an ease of communication.
Yeah, completely agree. Ease of communication. The internet, just the growth of the internet in general there's pluses and minuses to the ease of communication. And it's discussed on podcasts worldwide, all over the positives and negatives of technology. We're going to be focusing more on the positives for how it applies to the geek culture. But there's negatives. I've seen technology break up relationships. People get super close to others online that, it opens up weird, different dynamics. And so that ease of communication is a great thing, and it can be a negative depending on in whose hands they are. And it's something as a parent you're going to want to try and be careful with as well, just on a side note.
Yeah, and you're talking about the kid aspect of it, and that's a tough spot, right? I don't want to speak to that.
Yeah.
I guess to clarify what Steve and I are trying to establish here is for established adults,
yes.
People who, because when you talk about kids, there's certain social interactions I think are important, but they have that, right? Those kids aren't meeting people across the globe, in their lifetime. At that time, the importance I think that they have in their moment is that they're meeting their friends at school, right? And they have their school friends or their daycare friends or their childhood friends, whatever it is. But they have that moment, that social buildup. But there's a point, man, where I have a fucking saturation point. I don't need new friends at some point, right?
No, I completely. The older I get, the less people I need to hang out with.
Yeah, you have a core group, and it's man, I don't want to let some of these people go, so I'd rather just keep them around. There's so many people I try to keep in touch with, and it's just hard. Technology's made that easier, and I think that you're onto something with that. I do think there's a lot of negatives as far as we're kind of out of touch, but we all know each other, right?
Yeah.
This gives us an opportunity to kind of vent together and have fun. We accomplish goals, solve puzzles. We have a good time. We have our laughs. And the only thing we don't get to do is smell each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you physically see one another. And even if we wanted to see one another, we could do it digitally. And I'm not saying it's the end all be all of fixing that social interaction, but it damn sure helps. It helps to keep in touch, and I think that it's important. And I think that we're all trying to plan trips where we can meet up and do things. But I think that there's too much negative connotation on what gaming brings to the table and what people that do online gaming do. And I get that you have people that get addicted and they stay online for hours on end. And that's a self-control thing.
I'll be
I
honest,
think
I was that way for quite a while.
as was I. Yeah, definitely. And I went through that stage, but you start to realize like you either grow up or you don't, right? You find that either that's just your thing and that's what you want to do, or you find that there's other things that you want, that you evolve yourself to that. Now, there's some people who that's their livelihood. That's fine, man. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But like, for instance, for me, I've got a wife and I've got a kid on the way. You've got a wife and three
Yeah.
kids, one of which is a newborn, right? So we find ourselves in positions where we balance, but we also need our time to get away, and just as our spouses need their time away from us, and this gives us that opportunity, especially for me. Like, I'm in a new area and I've only met uh my wife introduced me to this guy Joe who's really really cool, and like that and a couple of my instructors, funny enough, because all my teachers are like my age. It's so weird because you get to this point where you're like, do you want to be my friend? It's like you're asking them out on a date, but you're a student, right? But they're not your teacher anymore.
Yeah.
So you're like, they're your age, right? I can't hang out with the 17, 18, 19-year-olds that are fucking just now starting in college. So my professors are like, the younger professors are my age. And, I've asked a couple of them. They've been cool about it. And like, I might have some friends. Like, I've met a couple people that are really cool here. And I'd love to have those friends to get in touch. I want to eventually open this esports bar I've talked
Yeah.
about, but I think it's important to understand that gaming has positive effects on social interactions, and that's and I'll let you kind of I've talked too much.
I think we've been
My
I
sec
think we've been sharing. See, so this is what Aaron's getting at is some of the feedback we've gotten, which we both kind of hear different things, which is quite funny. Is so we've got some of the feedback which we get, and we absolutely love all the feedback. Is that people feel like Aaron talks too much, and there's not enough
I'm an
back and
aggressive
forth.
speaker.
And it's part of like I'm a very passive. I don't want to say passive. That's not the right word. But in our dynamic, I am a little more laid back and let you take the lead a lot of the time. But my friends feel like we have good back and forth, where your friends say you talk too much. And so it's a very interesting dynamic. So we want to hear more from people about what you think about our interactions. I'm totally getting myself sidetracked. But
Yep.
yes, the positive side of online gaming and interacting with people far outweighs the possible negatives that have happened, at least in my personal life. When I ran a guild in World of Warcraft, like, there was 50 or 60 people in our guild, and I had to interact with all of them and keep them up and going, and we had weekly raids and multiple weekly raids. Stuff like that. Like, so there's a lot of organization and interaction that can happen online. What a lot of people see as the negative part, we got to talk about it. It's the toxicity level. And there are certain styles of games, a lot of the competitive ones, where, especially if you're a competitive person, the toxicity that comes out, and it's not just from guys, guys do it a lot, but I've heard, female gamers do it, I've had children do it, it's ridiculous. The insults when somebody
Children
is
are
bad.
the worst, man.
Oh,
Kids are the worst. They get under your skin,
it's
man.
so
It's bad.
bad.
When you got this like 8-year-old kid calling you a little bitch, you're like, oh my god, why? Why is this happening to me?
Why are
I
you
don't
so bad? Did your
understand.
mom drop you on your head? Oh, it's just, yeah, no. It's the insults and toxicity that people can come out with. I can get it if it's somebody on the other team and you're able to communicate with the other team and you're trying to get under their skin and trying to like throw them off their game. But in online gaming, 90% of the games you cannot talk to the other team. you're only talking to your teammates. So you're throwing your own team off and getting under the skin of your own team, which is completely detrimental to what you're actually trying to do in these team-based games. And it's quite funny, but at the same time horrible that the world has gotten this way. And it's not just in voice chat. It happens in text communications, happens on sites like Reddit, Facebook. It happens everywhere. There is, for lack of a better term, the keyboard cowboy. And it's the anonymity the internet provides people. You're just a voice on the other side of a earphone, or you're just keystrokes. And so people feel they can say and do whatever they want with impunity. And that mentality has caused this culture of toxicness to kind of grow. And I applaud websites like Twitch really trying hard to tone it down. My understanding is Reddit is trying to in some of their subreddits, not all of them, but they are trying to tone some stuff down. Games like Overwatch have implemented, instead of a negative review system, they now have a positive review system. So if you have a good interaction with somebody, you can give them a positive review. And then people can request to be match made with only people of certain ratings. So there's people in the world that are recognizing that toxic side and trying to phase it out because the positives are so good. Just so good. And especially, yeah, like Aaron said, people with social anxiety or people like me that just, I'm not really extroverted. I can put on that skin and I can do it. I can go to a party and be the life of a party and you will never know that I struggle with being there. It helps us break out of our shell. I know friends that their little brothers are autistic or are on just the spectrum of being in autism, that online gaming and interacting with people has helped them so much. Just break out of their shell and be communicative. Because they can't do it in person, but online they're able to talk to people freely. And I mean, as part of the syndrome, sometimes they struggle with that interaction, but they're able to start to express themselves more. Maybe not necessarily feelings, because I know depending on where you are on the spectrum, feelings and empathy and stuff, it's a struggle. But they're able to communicate better. It helps them with their day-to-day lives. And the benefits are great. And so that's, again, just something I'm wanting to get out there. I do still have, real-life meetups. On Sunday, the two guys I was saying that might join us for Warframe, they are possibly coming over for a guys' night. Just the two of them, and then me and my son are going to be here. And we'll hang out and play board games, or if we're not able to get ready for being in person, then, I mean, who knows, maybe we'll do 5 hours of Warframe.
Yeah, and I think that leads to that fact. So, like, I desire those interactions with having friends over. Like, our buddy Ty comes over and hangs out, and we play card games and stuff. But it would be nice for us because we like to play Commander in Magic, and that's a multiplayer game, right? But one-on-one isn't like fun as it could be if we had like 4 total people. And sometimes Jess would be willing to get in there, but she works a night schedule, so it's kind of crazy. So it'd be great if we could find like a local game store to hang out. I'm not saying that that's kind of the point we're making. We're not saying that you just can have gaming replace guys' night or game night or whatever it is you'd like to get together. Your get together night, whatever, with your friends, family, whoever it is. I am saying though that it is an okay substitute. I know people that they just don't get along with anyone around, and their gaming community are the friends that they have, and those are real friendships. Like I said, I met Steve online. I'll give one further. So I've known Steve for, how long have we known each other?
I want to say 5 years. Yeah, about that.
5 years. It's like 4 or 5 years now.
2 years on Mixer and at least a year and a bit more on Twitch. So 2 years. So 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. And so but Popo, our buddy Popo, I have known Popo through a buddy of mine, John Boy. So my friend John Boy knew Popo when they were in school together. And we met Popo when we were playing LOL back in, 11 years ago. LOL was still in like open beta. I think Zinzao just came out, or maybe it was a little before that actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's really early LOL time.
Yep, yeah, it was a new game, so it wasn't what it is now. I mean, it was the beginning of Riot Games doing anything, and Popo was one of these guys that was just introduced to us. I've been gaming with Popo for that entire 11 years with a little break in between where I stopped gaming for a while, and we've reconnected. I met him for the first time face to face this last Christmas time.
Which
I went
shocked me,
down to
honestly.
go visit.
In the amount of time I've known you, I actually thought you guys were like friends from high school.
Right, yeah, and you would think that because it's a real friendship. And I think that if you take that into consideration, that's over a decade's time that I've considered Popo one of my friends. Like he's a buddy of mine. If you take that in and over a decade of a friend that I've never met. Now, given, I know some of you might argue, well, like unlike Steve, who I never knew, I'd never seen Steve, never met Steve. Popo was introduced to me through a mutual friend that I was on the submarine with, my buddy John Boy, who knew him from school. So given there's some validation there.
Yeah.
But the point is, he's been a digital entity in my life that entire time, but just as valid as any other friend of mine. And so you have people that end up in places where maybe they're a little misunderstood or they just don't belong or they don't feel like they belong. And they have this community of friends that they get together with online. And that's important. It's vital to their social interaction. So I think that where this comes up is you get into relationships or you get into, into situations where people misunderstand or your family misunderstands that you've left existence. You belong in this world. And yes, people get lost in their games or whatever. But you need to remember that if they're interacting with other people, that's still a social interaction. It still exists. It's still something. I'm not saying it has to be or needs to be everything in their life, but just take a step back and try to understand the situation before you're so quick to judge. And and like Steve's saying, there's a lot of people, and Steve can talk to this more than I can, but like you used to do stream management. So for streamers, and you dealt with these people. Most streamers, from what I understand, have social anxiety issues, and yet they stream for hundreds of thousands of people daily.
Almost every streamer I know has a form of social anxiety. It is the funniest thing ever to go to a convention like PAX or, any of the multitude of other ones like DreamHack and stuff. And when you meet these people, they are awkward because nobody knows what to do because everybody struggles with that side of it. And so everybody has social anxiety. Everybody, like a lot of the biggest people that you'll see online that stream or do content creation on YouTube and whatever, I bet you anything they can count their real life in physical person friends probably on one hand. But they have probably a couple dozen close friends that they know online that they may have met online, and they'll meet in person at conventions or whatever, but it's really hard to explain. It's the globalization that technology has opened up allows you to not be restricted to just the geographic location you live in for your friendships. And that's really what we're trying to get across. And for some reason, I'm starting to cough at the end of this. I've been muting for my other random ones. I am slowly dying on you. But
this is our last show, folks. Steve died soon after.
Episode 6. We're out of here.
We're out of here. Oh, it was a good time.
But
short-lived.
The point really is online interaction through gaming or other venues. Like there's Discords for people that play games like Magic and D&D and other things that used to be restricted to just geographical stores that were restricted to like we said in other shows, like maybe there was only 6 people in your town that played D&D when you were growing up. Now you can connect to communities of hundreds, thousands. D&D is more popular now than it has ever been. Ever. That is crazy to think because it's been around for 30 years. And it's more popular now than it was in its heyday in the 90s and 80s.
Have you ever played D&D yourself?
Honestly, no. I wanted to.
Okay.
I have wanted to. And it's, again, I never had the chance to find that community when I was younger because, like I mentioned in our episode 3, where I struggled with my own identity, thinking that I needed to be the jock instead of embracing what I actually wanted. So I wanted to play D&D. I didn't interact with the people that did enough to be invited to those games. And now I'm like,
no, and that wasn't, and that's not a judgment thing. I was just going to say, like, just so you could back me up a little bit, but you went on to something that was really cool where we did discuss that in episode 3, where we talked about, like, you know, if you were just the only kid or there was you and 2 friends that, you know, one of you's got to be the DM, the other 2 are now playing, and that can be frustrating. But if you can find a community online where you can all get together, when you embrace Dungeons and Dragons or any other, you know, paper game like that, where somebody's a storyteller and you embrace the characters and you really get into it, you make friendships in that's an intimate friendship. It can be really cool. You can have some friends and they honestly that just might be a world that you exist with those friends. Like, you enter whatever world your DM has put on and you get to be friends with these people in that world, and that's fun and it's super cool and you use a lot of imagination. They might be just your normal everyday friends that all play, but it is a very intimate and really neat relationship when you embrace that community, when you embrace what D&D and other similar games can bring. Now, I've played 4 or 5 different variations of like those type of pen and paper games that can do that. But I just have to say, like, that's an intimate relationship. And we started this by, you know, we talked about how we discussed this as like our guys' night, right? Where, you know, in fact, that's what we just left. Me and Steve and like 3 or 4 or 5 other people over the last 3 or 4 days have been playing Warframe, and we've been having fun getting together. But we play other games like Rocket League, and we used to do HOTS, and we've done so many different games. But I wanted to say that the culture has also grown where this used to be, and honestly, in its kind of infancy, it was always known as the boys play the games. The boys are playing the video games, the girls aren't. That's changed so much. The geek world has changed so much for the better that it's almost an even split between girls and guys. And that's even come into like the gaming world, not just being geeks, but in gaming. And what's cool about that is now, like, there's relationships that blossom in themselves. Like, people meet each other online. Like, they find the story, they find that similarity. Like, you know, for Jess and I, we used to play Call of Duty. I think it was, what's an old one? Black Ops 2? Yeah. I think that's an older Call of Duty. Like,
Modern Warfare.
Yeah, well, it was whatever, like around 2000. 12-ish, 2012-ish, whatever one was new then, or newish. We used to play on Xbox together. Black Ops 2, 3. Yeah, I think it was Black Ops 2, and we used to play that together all the time, and it was lots of fun. And now we like play Switch games, or we'll play like Mario or something, Mario Party, and we lost to the computer. But like, you know, we have this connection where we can play these games, and then when I kind of do my online night or whatever, like she'll like cruise up, cuddle up to a book or something like that. Like, you know, we have our separate and our together moments. So there's relationships out there that they work with the gaming stuff but you know, it's so cool that the community's grown where women have become more involved, girls, whatever sex you can, you know, whatever. I don't want to limit it to the,
whatever you identify as.
There you go. That's the words I was looking for. Whatever you identify as. Like that the entire community, where geek culture and gaming and what it can bring and the friendships it can bring, and that's important. Yeah. And I don't think if it wasn't for like games like, you know, playing fantasy football with one group of friends. I've got another group of friends I play Marvel Strike Force with, which does, you know, if you were to do a Venn diagram, fantasy football and, you know, my Warframe Rocket League friends, those Venn diagrams kind of don't really cross. But like when you get into like Marvel Strike Force, that has some cutoffs or like some crossovers in the Venn diagram between those other two. And it's just cool that I've managed to let friends meet other friends through that community. And like I've introduced like Steve for instance, is somebody I got to know, and Popo is somebody I already knew, and now they're friends. Now they game together. Like, it is a community, and it does build, and there are cool things that happen with it. And I think that people should respect it as a form of communication and fellowship and friendship and relationships and everything that it can be. And I don't think that you should shun away from it. Again, I want to clarify, this is for adults.
Yes.
Adults.
Children still need to learn to interact with other children, because there's a lot of social interaction you cannot learn online.
Right, and that's a social development skill. Yeah,
as a parent, I see it
and I don't want to speak to that.
There are children in the world that they don't get to socialize enough with other children, so they don't understand the boundaries of what is allowed and what isn't. And I'm not saying bullies need to exist, but there's always a power struggle, and children need to learn when to push limits and when to not push limits. And the only way they can do that is from other children. It's a safe environment for them to learn. And as a parent, the hardest thing to do is to try to protect your kid from ever being hurt. They need to get hurt. They need to learn. Your job as a parent should be to console them and make them feel better and help them learn from that situation moving forward to minimize the impact or likelihood of them redoing it.
Did you want to change to a parenting podcast? We can do that.
I'm not
Steve.
really wanting to, but I'm just...
No, I think we're going that route. Geek out on childcare. That's what we'll be. We're the child care geek squad.
It's all going to be about parenting.
This has just become a parenting podcast for geek parenting everywhere. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, children. It's just so. Again, the evolution. Again, I'm a little bit older because I'm 40 in a few months. I remember when I was my son's age. He's 9. So between the ages of 9 and 11, as soon as school ended, I would be outside. I would come home for dinner, and then I'd be right back outside playing with my friends, riding bikes, going crazy, all over the place. And then as soon as the sun would go down or the streetlights would turn on, you would have to come home. It sounds really weird, but that was you knew your curfew was either the sun going down or the streetlights turning on, depending on the time of year. Especially me being up in, the Great White North, times really fluctuate between summer and winter. And so I knew summer was even worse. I'd get up, I'd have breakfast, I'd go out, and I'd be out until dinner time, come home for dinner, then I'm out again until... That was the way I played. That's the way most children at that time played. But we didn't have video games, and that's fine. So as it's changed, we've started to play inside. But I've noticed now, yes, the outside world is scary. We hear way much more because of technology about bad things happening to children. There are horrible people in this world. Children still need to experience the world without being bubble wrapped, is all I'm trying to get at. And it's totally changing the topic, and that was not my plan.
Yeah, where have you taken us, Steve?
God,
we've gone on an adventure.
Totally.
Either way.
Totally U-turned.
So again, we're talking about adults that make their own decision and friendships. Like, for instance, I moved here to Indiana where I knew no one, and my friendships that I've grown and blossomed from the last, forever of my life growing up, I get to stay in touch with those people just via the gaming community and what I can do with that. And I think that it's important. I think it's important we discuss it because I've seen people end friendships and relationships over that sort of thing, or with their families and stuff, just weird stuff because they don't understand. And I think it's important for people in general to stop judging online gaming so poorly, because just like anything in moderation is just fine. And everybody has a different life, and they have different wants and needs and different, crippling disabilities sometimes, and sometimes online gaming, streaming, hanging out with friends and doing that stuff is just what they need, just the dose of medicine they need to kind of survive the day. And each day is important for them to still be here. And I think we're in a world where, guys and gals, people, just can communicate better and have more fun. And online's a perfectly viable place to enjoy all of those things that it is. Don't forget to eat or drink
Yes.
Don't die playing video games, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't try and do 24-hour
general,
sessions. Honestly, it's not worth what your body's going to go through. Again.
Yeah.
But no, I completely
First time
agree.
I ever stayed up all night was playing Super Mario World.
Nice.
Super Nintendo just came out. It was the first time I'd ever pulled an all-nighter. Never done it before that. And I stayed up until the dawn playing Super Mario World.
I think I'd done it around the same time too. And then PS1, the very first Forza, had...
Oh, Jesus, you liked racing games.
Well, I did. I like all games. I'm very eclectic with my tastes and stuff. But back then, I was really into cars, and racing games was great, and Forza was incredible, and totally different than anything else at the time. But part of the way through it, they unlocked endurance races, and they were 12 hours of actual racing for 12 hours with no saving in between.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So those were pretty much all-nighters. I would go to my friend's house. We would be playing together. We would take shifts, do like 2 hours here and there to keep our minds fresh. It was intense. So it's friendships that can bond over things that other people may shun at. And it's the way geek culture technology has embraced it and moved it forward. People just need to, like you said, they need to stop judging. There's far too much judgment in the world as it is. Just, people need to be. It's probably the best thing I could say is, we just need to be.
Just need to be. I think that's a good closeout.
I think it is.
Sir, just need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to reach us, we're on Twitter, we're on Discord, we're on Facebook. Where else are we? We're on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play,
Podcast Addict.
Yeah. So tell your friends if I've had a lot of requests outside of iTunes. Please spread the word. We love your support. We love all the feedback we have received. Thank you guys. And thanks for supporting us.
Yes. And you'll hear from us in a week.
Game on, nerds.
Today's music is used by permission from the artist Broke for Free. The song is called Something Elated. You can find it on freemusicarchive.org under the user Broke for Free.